Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond Mount Rushmore. A bonus episode, or they used to say a very special episode.
Yeah, we decided to throw this one in between the 2 weeks that we don't do one. You're going to get Grover Cleveland and his false face on schedule.
Right.
That'll be next week, but we figured 4th of July, let's put a little extra in and do something extra for you.
And here we are. Happy 4th of July.
Well, thank you. Happy 4th of July to you, too. Or you're not talking to me.
I'm talking to you as well. I'm talking to everybody.
All right.
Fireworks flying, grill sizzling. Someone's uncle's already 2 hot dogs deep by 10 a.m.
That's true.
Here's something you may not have known, though. Did you know that we didn't declare independence on July 4th?
I kind of knew that. They had to write stuff down, and it took a little time.
Yeah, they actually presented the Declaration of Independence on July 2nd.
Yeah.
And then it was ratified, I believe, on July 8th.
Yeah, well, they had to copy it and make it all look pretty.
Right. And they just figured July 4th sounded better.
Sounds great.
Yeah. You know, we only had one president born on the 4th of July.
Who was that?
Silent Cow.
You are correct. And he got to be president because Harding died, and he got a phone call that in the middle of the night from the general store. They had to run to his dad's house where he lived, tell him that he's president.
Wow. Speaking of dying, I think that's why we're here. Well, yes or no?
Well, yeah. Like this show could be dying. Now, here's, and this is why we're doing the special episode. The 4th of July, a lot of people have said that America is what it is through divine intervention, God.
Yes.
We celebrate it and stuff. But for the founding fathers, A, it was tremendously important, and B, there's an odd connection with some of our presidents and the 4th of July. Not the celebration, but they died on the 4th of July.
It's incredible.
Yeah, you first say, oh, well, it's got to be planned that way.
Right, that's what I would think.
Is it a coincidence? Was it planned? A little bit of both. A little bit of both, and I'll explain what I mean by that, because they were well aware of what the 4th of July meant. Like today, it's one of our biggest holidays.
For sure.
It meant a whole lot. That date was so important to them. Now, hold on to your hats. The second president of the United States, John Adams, died on the 4th of July, the 50th anniversary of the country's founding.
Right.
He had heart problems. He was 90.
I think in 1700s, I think that's pretty good, right?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
His buddy and adversary, the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, died on the exact same day and year.
Weren't they actually rivals at some point?
They were dear friends in the founding of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them, Adams actually helped Thomas Jefferson in writing the Declaration of Independence. They conversed back and forth.
Right.
But they were so politically different. 2 different political parties,
yes.
2 different political thoughts, that by the time the country was formed, they were in such disagreement with each other that they refused to speak. These were 2 friends that said, that's it. They did not correspond, I want to say, for over a decade.
Wow.
Where they chose not to correspond with each other, and that was the primary form of communication.
Right. Writing letters.
Yeah. They detested each other politically, and it affected their friendship. That was changed.
That's good to hear.
In 1812, long after they've been president, I think Madison was president in 1812.
Oh.
Adams wrote a short New Year's greeting to Jefferson, which Jefferson warmly responded to. Over the next 14 years, Jefferson and Adams exchanged more than 158 letters back and forth, rekindling their friendship.
Wow.
And both of them learned to respect each other, not only as politicians, but as men. And I want to put a little footnote
We
in.
could do that today. It would be great.
No kidding. I want to put a little footnote into
Sure.
that. Thomas Jefferson, who was our third president of the United States, did not enjoy being president. He did 2 terms. Adams only did 1.
Right.
But he didn't like being president. In fact, on his tombstone, which you can go and see today,
Yeah.
no mention that he was president of the United States, and he chose not to have it put on there.
That's crazy.
Didn't want to have anything to do with that.
Huh.
All of his other accomplishments are on that tombstone. No mention that he was president of the United States.
For 8 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
That's interesting.
Adams and Jefferson.
Great.
Friends, enemies, and then friends again. 158 letters back and forth. They both died on the same day. Adams,
That is so crazy.
of course, in Quincy, Massachusetts. It was then called Braintree, but it's Quincy, Mass.
Right.
And of course, Jefferson at his plantation in Virginia, Monticello.
Monticello, yeah.
Or is that how you say
I
it?
don't know.
Monticello?
I don't know.
I say Monticello. I think it doesn't matter.
I think it doesn't matter to me.
Both of them are old
Mhm.
and deathly ill.
Right.
Both of them are aware because the United States, as small as it is then, is planning huge celebrations for the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, July 4th.
Nobody thought it was going to last 50 years.
No, it was a tremendous experiment.
Yeah.
And both of them had every intention of taking part in the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson, his health began to deteriorate in July of 1825 due to a combination of rheumatism from arm and wrist injuries, intestinal and urinary disorders. By June, again, we're talking July 4th.
Yeah.
By June 1826, he was confined to bed. He was in bad shape.
Yeah. Old age.
Let's put it this way. He needed a bedpan.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for that visual on the 4th of July.
But but there was a guy
Right.
on July 3rd. He had a fever that was spiking. They were doing everything to keep him comfortable, but the end was near.
Right. It was inevitable. Well, it always is, but.
And in fact, he had to, and they were so looking forward to it, he had to decline an invitation to celebrate the Declaration of Independence. Washington, D.C. wanted him to come back from Virginia and celebrate. He couldn't. Health-wise, he couldn't do it. Moves into July 4th. Jefferson is really bad. He's near death, and Jefferson instructs his treating physician, and they weren't really doctors then. They were butchers. But he instructs his treating physician, no doctor, nothing more. Refusing laudanum, which is opium,
Right.
to ease his pain. He just realized that's it. And his final significant words, Thomas Jefferson's, and again, I'm going to repeat how important the 4th of July was to them,
Yeah.
because like you pointed out, nobody thought it was going to work.
Right.
His last significant words were, quote, "Is it the 4th?" They also say he might have said, "This is the 4th," and he passed away.
Wow.
That 4th of July meant, I got to make it to the
If that
4th.
doesn't tell you what it meant to them, nothing would.
John Adams, who's back in Massachusetts in his deathbed, dies later that same day, July 4th,
Right.
1826.
Crazy.
His last words, having not known that Jefferson passed away, he knows it's the 4th of July. He's delirious. He's fading. and his final words were, "Jefferson lives."
Well,
But he had no idea he had already died.
yeah.
But it was, I'm sorry, the exact quotable word, "Thomas Jefferson survives."
That's crazy.
So both of them passing away July 4th, 1826. Then we get to our fifth president of the United States. Now, the second and third die on the 4th of July. Now we get to the fifth president of the United States,
Right.
James Monroe.
Right.
He was the last of our founding fathers to be president. He was part of the Continental Congress and was also a general under George Washington in the Revolutionary War. So he is deemed a founding father.
Right, I got you. But not
your biggies like your
Right.
Madison, your Jeffersons, your Washingtons, your Ben Franklins, your
Right.
your Hamiltons, and all that. But they technically say he's the last of the founding
Okay.
fathers. Was president from March 4th, 1817 to March 4th, 1825. On July, this is where it starts getting goofy. On July 4th,
right.
1831,
5 years later.
5 years later, James Monroe dies in New York City at the age of 73 from heart failure and tuberculosis, thus becoming the third president to pass away on Independence Day. His death, as you pointed out, 5 years later, the 55th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. By this point in time, they know that something's going on. It is with great pride that leaders mention our founding fathers passing away on the 4th. It's almost like a badge of honor. Monroe goes, Adam goes.
Now it's becoming a thing.
Now it's a thing.
Gotcha.
Who's going to be the next one to die on the 4th of July? Well,
And it probably ties in just into that whole divine intervention, right? That God is part of this, so God is bringing them home on Independence Day.
Correct. That is how, again, I'll re-emphasize how important the 4th of July is to them.
Right, yeah.
This is the country's working, it's thriving, it's expanding. This is God's work, and God's calling the founding fathers back on the 4th of July.
Yeah. Yeah,
and we'll make sure it happens. We get to the fourth president of the United States. Second, third, and fifth have died on the 4th of July.
Okay.
Now we get to James Madison, born March 16th, 1751 in Port Conway, Virginia, which is British America.
So we're talking about second, third, fifth, and now the fourth.
Yes.
Wow, okay. Wow.
Yep. And I don't know, maybe George Washington, the first president, might have fallen into that if his doctors didn't bleed him.
Right.
And they had no idea. But here's the deal with James Madison. By the way, the president during the War of 1812, when the British burned the White House. Mm-hmm. Of course, they called James Madison the father of the Constitution for his pivotal role in drafting and promoting the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. A full-fledged founding father.
100%.
Elfin man, though. I think he was like 5'5". Tiny guy.
Okay.
And again, they lived a long time, too. He was 85 when he started failing.
And I'm hoping for 85.
Yeah, no kidding.
This is 2025.
So when the 85-year-old was on his deathbed in the summer of 1836, they all started wondering, because we're in June of 1836, and 85-year-old James Madison is sick and dying, and he's under a doctor's care. On June 28th, he is asked, he's coming in and out of consciousness, and his doctor, who is attending to him, says to James Madison, the end is near. Do you want to die on the 4th of July? because the doctor could give him stimulants to keep him at least alive,
heart beating
until the 4th of July. Because Madison died of, what did he die of? He had liver disease and had a bad case of rheumatism, which affected all of his joints and all that.
Both very painful.
Extremely painful. And he knew he was in an awful lot of pain.
Yeah.
So on the 28th, as he's getting ready to go, the doctor says, I can give you some stimulants, keep you going until the 4th of July, and then you join that grand circle of presidents that died on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Madison, who still had his wits about him, said, what are you, effing nuts? I want to die.
Yeah. Get me out of here.
Let me go. And in fact, that is what happened. He died June 28th, 6 days before the 60th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, July 4th. So they could have kept him lingering.
Yeah.
But he said, no, the pain was too great. Take me now, please.
So what does that say about him not wanting to wait and be a part of that?
I was imagine what the pain would be. And by the way, at the time, he was the last surviving signer of the Constitution.
Right.
So he was the last of the founding fathers to be alive. And he could have held on for 6 days, a short week, and you go on the 4th of July. He wanted nothing. Take me now. So you can only imagine.
Just Mr. Practical. Let's just go now.
Yeah, I'm
done. I can't do this anymore.
So well, all the other July 4th, he's a June 28th.
Jeez.
It's pretty amazing.
What are the odds? So there you have it.
Yeah.
Founding fathers with the most dramatic exit strategy in presidential history.
Yeah, but how unless you go and research it, you're not going to know that.
No. I've never heard that before. Not one time until today.
You're the founding father. We're not, okay, a president might pass away, but I don't think they have on the 4th of July.
Right. But we're also talking about of the first 5 presidents.
Correct.
4 of them, 3 definitely did. 4 could have.
Yep.
Maybe even 5 could have if they didn't bleed the guy.
Correct.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, when we come back next week, we're going to have our regular episode with Grover Cleveland.
We are. That's going to be actually in 3 days, right?
Just a few days.
Yeah, something like that.
So enjoy this bonus. Enjoy your 4th of July, and we'll talk about Grover Cleveland and his fake face when we come back.
I love it. Yeah, go light off your fireworks. Do you know that right now, on average, they spend $1 billion in America on 4th of July fireworks?
That's a lot of money.
I know. Do you know what the first year fireworks were used to celebrate the 4th of July?
I don't know when.
1777.
Oh,
year
right.
number 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Hey, we'll see you later.
All right.
Wherever you get your podcast, that's where you'll find us. What is the name of this show?
It's called Beyond Mount Rushmore.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Jeff Hickox. That's Stan Nowalonic, our
self-proclaimed presidential historian.
There it is.
All right, see you.
Bye, guys.